Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to change things a little bit. I'm going to continue to talk about the last time when I left, when I was talking about after the communists came in April 3rd, 1975. So when they came in, the people from the north, they know nothing about the south. So what they do is they use the people that used to be spy for them that live in the south before to run the government at first. But later on, like maybe about a year or so later, they kick them all out. That's how communists operate. They trick you into believing them, and then when they achieve their goal, they just kick you out. So what they did is, so when they came in, all the officer from the army officer from the South Vietnam government, they would trick by the communists that we are brother. I'm not gonna do anything to you. Just come and everybody gathered in this one, the same city hall and register, telling who they are. So what happened is, if you are captain, you have a rank of captain or more, and they tell you to go ahead, go home, uh, pack a few things with you, and then come back tomorrow. We're gonna have to go to a re-education camp. It sounds pretty fancy, but what they do is a lot of these people disappear for like 10 years. Their family don't even know where they're gone. A lot of time, the family have to pay a bribe to ask the government, to the local government, where's my husband, where's my son, so they can go and visit them. A lot of them ended up go all the way up to the northern part of Vietnam, like in the jungle somewhere, doing manual labor. They say it's free education, but what they do, they just punishing all these people, and hopefully they will die, in these prison instead of re-education camp. And then, so to control the people, what they do is they start forming like a group, in each street, small street. They form up a group, and then they're gonna have a leader, a vice leader, and what they do is by having this kind of organized group, they have the people under control, because a lot of times they promise the people that have, that leading the group extra privilege if, people lie or say something bad to the government. So literally they're using the people to police the people. And also with the young adult, they do the same thing. They form a group, they have leader and vice leader, all that stuff. It's all about control. And in a control group like that, they also young kid the same way. They all have their own little group. You ever see, if you look up on YouTube, that this kid that wear those red bandana on their neck, that's the young kid group. Also, so to really control you, they issue each family, they issue a little booklet. In that booklet, that's how you have to identify who's in your family, how many in your family. So, and then whenever you travel somewhere, you have to go to the local police office and ask permission, and they're gonna issue a little permit for you to travel. Even if you go to another city, like maybe 20 miles away, you still have to ask permission from the local government to go somewhere. That's how controlling they are. And with that little booklet, every week you get to go to this central location to buy food, from everything, from rice to meat to Instead of go to regular market to buy food before, now you have to go to their local store. And a lot of time, they don't have enough stuff there to sell for everybody, so you only get a little bit. So you ended up have to buy other stuff that you need in the black market if you really want to eat something well. Of course, the people that work in those places, they already steal stuff. It's all corrupted. It's a big corruption. That's why nowadays when people talk about socialism in this country, it drives me crazy. 'Cause that doesn't work. I mean, once you have a central government control everything in aspect in your life, you screw. You really screw. And also, they want to take your gun away. That's how the communists operate. But I'm not gonna go into politics about it. It's sad to see this country is going toward that way. I kind of have to use a cheat sheet to keep my thoughts straight. There's too many stuff to cover. But anyway, for I can remember, man. Sometimes we don't have food to eat. I feel hungry, and rice, even white rice, is a big commodity. They only have so much to pass around, and it's their way of controlling your thought too. If you always hungry, you always think about finding food to make you feel full. You have nothing else to think about, like against the government, all that stuff. It's their way of thought control. By controlling your stomach, they control your thoughts. And you can't be talking anything bad about the government, the current government. Cause how I said, the people in your neighborhood, they create an environment where you don't trust anybody, because anybody can turn you in for some privilege, for some extra stuff. It's crazy. And because of that, for 4 straight years, my dad is always on the look to go find a way to get out of the country. So meanwhile, I remember like in 1979, that's when 75, that's when I was in 5th grade. So in the school system in Vietnam, it's a little bit different. In order for you to move from 5th grade to 6th grade, you have to take the test. So they have 2 basic tests, the math test and literature, more like writing test. So if you pass those 2 tests, then you can move on to the 6th grade. And then I remember when I took the test, in order to write this essay, they ask you, what do you think? How do you feel when you see the Communist Party flying in the flag of your school? I mean, I'm a young kid. I'm only like 10 years old. How am I supposed to know what to write? How I feel about it? But of course, if you want to pass, you gotta bullshit your way through it. Why write like you feel great, feel like your country, like reunited and very happy about it. I was never good at that, and I ended up only having like 2 points for the test. And then on the math, of course, math is my thing, and I can do math all day. So I got 5 points for math. 5 was the highest score. So 5 points for math and 2 points for writing. So a total of 7. As long as you can have a total that above 5, then you can go to the next. In my country, 5 halfway, like a middle of C is like 2.5. So if you 2, you pretty much not gonna make. So you gotta be a 3. So that's why they have 2 tests, total of 10. So you can have a minimum of 5. Somehow you whatever combination work for you. As long as you get a 5 total on both tests, then you can move on to the next class. Of course, even after that, from 6th grade and then to 9th grade, you have to take a test again. So the education system there is a little bit different, like by the time you get to 9th grade, when you took the test, you have to try to go take the test on different school. So there's a school for medical, a school for become a teacher, a school for technical stuff, school for engineering. So you have to take tests on different school. And if you, whichever test you pass, you go to that school, and that's where they determine the rest of your life, what you're gonna do for the rest of your life. Some personally, I think it worked better that way. See, in this country, the school doesn't care. They just push you through high school and then let you figure out what you're gonna do with your life afterward. You know, a lot of kids nowadays, they don't know what to do. They just take random career to pick the career, and then after 4 years to graduate, and what they couldn't find job, and all thousands and thousands of dollars in loan and don't know how to repay it back. That's I don't think the system in school system in this country worked that well. But let's get back to me. And so for from 75 to 79, my dad tried to find a way to get out of the country 9 times total. And it's funny, each time, you know, when you try to escape out of the country, you know, you have to do it in secret. Remember I told you to control you where you're going? So you have to lie to them where you're going. Pretend like you go do some work or visit your relative and stuff like that. Of course, when you escape, you can't be taking a lot of stuff with you. You know, like a lot of clothing. So a lot of times you kind of have like funneling it slowly. So a lot of people organize the trip to get scared out of the country. They tell you to, okay, go ahead, give me your clothes ahead of time. That way, when we get on the boat, and you know, you have everything, so it doesn't look so suspicious. Well, because every time we keep losing clothing and money, you know, they cheat you a lot. And finally, the night time, pretty much my parents don't have any money left, but you kind of be a middleman, like introducing like a bunch of family, like maybe 2-3 family. Then the owner of the boat will let my family to go free. Of course, it's the ninth time when we don't have money, then we finally got out of the country. And I don't know, there's something else weird too. Remember I told you I have a half sister that she's half French and half Vietnamese. The other 8 times she always with us, but the 9th time she wasn't with us. Maybe it was her luck, but she didn't go, and we got lucky to get out of the country. That's my thought about it. But before we did that, we lived through a lot of hard time. You know, I remember that there's time we have nothing to eat. Like rice. When you don't have enough rice, you have to mix noodle. Sometimes you have to. They give you flour. Whatever they sell you, that's all you can have to eat. So they sell you flour. What do? You take the flour, have somebody else make the bread, trade for it. And they make the bread, and you eat bread. So, you know, we don't always feel full when we eat. So it's a hard life, you know. And even that living in an environment like that, it create. Even I myself, I was a leader in charge of you know, like exercise in the morning, and they call it a small project, which is like collecting all the recycled stuff like metal, newspaper, all that stuff. So all the kids in the neighborhood have to contribute into it, and I was in charge of the program, right? Then once I collect all that, I'm supposed to bring that to the bigger guy in the city. But you know, like I being a kid, you know, I didn't have enough to eat, and I want to eat good stuff. So what I do, instead of turning the whole thing, I cut it in half, and I take the other half and sell it for money, and so I can have money to spend on myself. So in an environment, it create a lot of thief. So under communisms, there's a lot of thief, layer of thief from the top to the bottom. Everybody's still a little bit, you know. That's why a lot of stuff that other country give to that country, by the time they get to pill, there's nothing left. Even now, you know, there's a lot of money from Japan and other country that outside that help Vietnam to rebuild. They give the money to the government, but by the time we get down to the real project, there's nothing left for it. It's pretty sad, you know. I was lucky that I was able to get out in 1979. But anyway, thank you for listening. We will continue the next time on my journey to escape from Vietnam to Malaysia. Anyway, thank you for listening. See you next time.